What if I told you that the true measure of success is not in how much money that you make, but in how much you actually give back? And that is what you give back is what will fuel your business success. That's what we're going to talk about today on my program, Success Through Connections. And I'm Zelda, your host. I'm glad you're here with us again this week, where every week I bring in experts on whatever their industry might be, thought leaders, influencers. And today is no exception. I have a really great guest. His name is Ed Rigsbee. So I'd like to tell the audience how I met you. So I actually met Ed really and truly last month, but I've followed him on LinkedIn and social media for over a decade. So it's been a while. I've just been following him and learning a lot about him. And then when I had an opportunity to actually hear him speak, I drove to Tampa to 4 hours to go hear him speak. And Ed is a certified speaking professional, CSP. High honor to get that. It's not easy. And he is the founder of Cigar Peg. It is a nonprofit that he started back in 1999. It's a charitable organization. They've given probably $1 million to charitable causes over these years. He's based in California, so he's a little bit behind us on the time right now. It's like, but okay, we're in the middle of the afternoon. It should be okay. And he talks to organizations about what he cares about, which is giving back. And he's really involved in the speakers communities. But he talks also to organizations about growth, about leadership, and really understanding your ROI when it comes to membership. So we're going to dive into that, and hopefully you'll get a lot of value today out of learning about why it's important to be involved with memberships and what it can do for you. So welcome to the show, Ed.
Thank you, and I appreciate being stalked. That makes me feel great.
You were stalked. That's right. For probably 10, 15 years. Oh, I had a great opportunity to meet you and I just didn't want to pass it up. I said it's worth the drive. So I drove there and drove back that afternoon. So it was worth it, definitely. But you came further. You came from California. So hey,
I did. I
so
did.
so I want to ask you, I want to dive in quickly and just ask you, what was it back in 1999 that inspired you to start Cigar Peg?
Interesting question. My background, Cigar Peg is loosely connected with the National Speakers Association. It started as doing a off-site party at the National Speakers Association, so you can call it a bolt-on event. But, my background after writing 3 books, well, I guess at that point I'd only written 2, but I've got 3 books on strategic alliance development, which is really about relationships. In making strategic alliances successful, it's the human element that really determines whether it's gonna be successful or not. And as far as the cigar peg, I was just hanging with a friend of mine that owns a speaker bureau in Banff, and we were sitting in Wild Bill's saloon, and because I was the speaker, I'm the one that had to buy the cigars, and in the US, I don't get Cuban cigars, in Canada, I can. They could be counterfeit, but I don't know the difference, so what the hell. And Grant Doyle and I were sitting there smoking cigars, hooping it up, drinking, and we decided that our friends, John Patrick Dolan, Dale Irvin, and Larry Winget, who were the driving forces behind the pool peg at the time, we decided, they're just getting a little bit too mainstream. It's kinda time to kind JD, John Patrick Dolan, JD had received his CPAE, Dale had gotten on the board of directors of NSA, so we decided it's time to stir it up again. So we decided to put on a cigar party, and we called it the Cigar Peg. Back in the day, PEG stood for Professional Emphasis Group. A lot of associations have SIGs, special interest groups. Speakers Association had PEGs, Professional Emphasis Group. Later, Mark Sanborn upgraded us to professional expert groups, but we'll just and then eventually the whole PEG system died. And so all of the pegs are gone with the exception of Cigar Peg because we are a separate entity. And it was just really to create kind of a fun thing for everybody. We made some money selling some t-shirts, so we cut a deal with the venue He got us a bunch of T-shirts from Hornitos, the tequila, and anybody who was wearing the T-shirt got $2 shooters all night. Sold the T-shirts for $15. At the end of the evening, we had $900. It's like, okay, what do we do with this? And we were listening to the foundation talking about all the people that gave money. So we decided, well, maybe if we give this money to the foundation, they'll mention cigar fag. Well, we gave it, but they didn't. But it's okay. And then the next year, Patricia Fripp said to me, because she is kind of the person that got me into the speaking business, goes, Ed, would you like to make some real money? And I said, well, Patricia, what do you think? She goes, why don't you do an auction? And I go, oh, okay. Who would I sell? She goes, me. So that kinda, led to the whole concept of creating the auctions, making money. We haven't quite hit $1,000,000. We're at 920,000, so we still got 80,000 to give before we hit the 1,000,000, but we're getting pretty close. And so over the years, over the last 25 or so years, that charity has just been growing, and it's evolved, Zelda, into I have to call it a community. It's a community within the community. The speaker community is a big community. The cigar peg is a couple hundred within that community. And in addition to doing the big fundraiser every year, we do masterminds around the country, small masterminds. And the relationships of the people that attend the masterminds have become very close. Really almost like family.
Yeah.
And so it's a function of, yes, we do this big party every year, which is big blow up party, and we have an auction and we make money and we give it away. But the quieter part is through the rest of the year, we have every Wednesday, I'm sorry, every Wednesday at noon Pacific time, we have a Zoom call and people are, doing updates. We talk about the business, talk about whatever, and then the mastermind. So that's kind of how you know, fast forward 25 plus years, that's how Cigar Peg morphed from let's stir it up and do a party to wow, we have a heck of a community here that we serve. So
So how did
that's
it
the real quick.
transition from this tequila drinking and we're selling some T-shirts and all this to let's is it always donating to the Speakers Association? Do you donate to other communities? And how do you select who you're going to donate to?
Sure. Great question. So it started out donating to the NSA Foundation, to the Professional Speaker Benefit Fund for, the speakers that had fallen hard times or get hurt or this, that, the other, whatever. We were an immediate contributor to the Katrina Fund. So I forgot the question.
How do you decide who you're going to That's okay. You're human. You're human. This is not an AI generated podcast.
So funny. So we
It's
went
like I know you donate to different
yeah,
causes.
yeah.
How do you pick the causes?
People hit me up. What happened over time, different people that are involved with the cigar peg that are very instrumental in making it work said to me, "Hey, I care about this. Could we donate a few bucks there? Hey, I" another person says, "Hey, I feel about
Yes.
that. You
Yes.
donate a few bucks there." And there's just been this morphing, and we've done emergency speaker benefit funds for people that are close to cigar peg. We've done funds for cigar peg people that are very influential in helping to make Cigar Peg work to funds they care about. For instance, Dale Irvin. I mean, he's been there from the beginning, always doing an update or humor at Cigar Peg. He really cares about SADS, sudden infant death syndrome, which is part of long
Yeah.
QT.
Yeah.
So, not every year, but most year we donate a little bit of money to them. Rick Metzger, who's been our security guy for years and years, his dad died of cancer, so we donate a little bit of money to the Cancer Society. As a Mason and getting my 50-year pin in a couple months, one of the things that I care about is the Shriners, Children's.
Yes.
So we put a little bit of money
You don't
to
hear
there.
much about them these days. Yeah.
No, we don't. Yeah, but they do an amazing
Great organization, the
so
Burns. Oh, yeah.
so there's a lot of organizations on and off that we do, not every organization every year. Almost every year, the foundation, Speakers Foundation gets money from us, but the other organizations, it's pick and choose based on what kind of money we make. So it's people that really help make the Scarpec happen, have an influence over me. I operate as a benevolent dictator, I will admit that. and but those people have a strong influence on
Absolutely. So,
on
what does giving back mean to you personally?
it's paying community rent. We give back at different levels in our local community, in our state community, in our national community, and even to some degree in our international community. It's all community rent. I realize that the United States is very different from most countries as far as philanthropy. We are head and shoulders above any other country in the world. We're a very giving country, not to say anything negative about others. That's just who we are and what we do. So I look at it's community rent from, I wrote a book for my local soccer community, and it took me months. Well, it took me a couple of years actually to write the book, do the research and all that. And I just did it as community rent. So, and the same thing with the speaker community, with the national community. I think if all of us look at, whatever we choose to do, however we choose to give, however we choose to be of benefit to others, just as part of our community rent, I think it's a good way to look at it.
I think it's a great way to look at it. I never really looked at it that way. I think it's a beautiful way to look at it is you're right. Absolutely. So, can you break down a little bit about when you're building an organization, talk a little bit about the memberships, their ROI. What do they, what is it for them that they get something back for their return on their investment?
That's a very interesting question. I'm just going to throw something up really quick for a visual. This
Okay.
book I wrote, The ROI of Membership. It's been out for a while.
Can they get it on Amazon
Yeah,
or
yeah,
your website?
Amazon, yeah,
Okay.
Amazon or
Okay. We
sure.
want to make sure people
And
know where to get your books.
yeah, and it was kind of a seminal book in the association world because I just dumb luck, I'll tell you, dumb luck. I stumbled on a methodology, qualitative research, to determine the return on investment that members get in actual dollar numbers. Now, I learned this before I even knew what qualitative research was. I just stumbled onto it. And I was speaking for the California Alarm Association. I had spoken for the National. One of the guys that was the president of the California liked my talk at the National. I had the executive director hire me to keynote the state. And then the executive director kind of hit me up. Okay, man, hey, we got you for the keynote. Would you help us out and do a community roundtable? He wanted freebie. I was like, "Yeah, okay, fine. I'm there. Why not?"
Yeah.
So the way I run with the community roundtables, I just get a flip chart and go, "Okay, everybody, what's on your mind?" We start writing all the stuff down. And then I just look at the people in the room and go, "Okay, everybody gets 2 votes, 3 votes, 4 votes, whatever, based on their number." And we weigh it. Okay, how many think this one's the best? And we put the numbers. And all of a sudden, you just start looking and go, "Okay, here's the highest number. Here's the second highest number. Here's the third highest number." Well, that day, the highest number was, for whatever reason, there's a lot of board members in the room. They wanted to know about the value of membership in their organization. Great topic. Let's talk about it. So I started asking questions and just, I just dig deep and ask hard questions. It's just what I do. And at the end of this rank table, I'm looking at all the flip chart paper all over the room. I go, wow, this is really interesting. I think I've created something here. And when we got back, Jerry Lavander was the executive director of the California Alarm Association. I called him and said, "Jerry, here's how that session went, and here's what we learned. Would I be able to write an article for you about that?" He goes, "Oh, that'd be awesome." So I wrote an article about what's the annual return on investment that members of the California Alarm Association get in actual dollar numbers. Okay, this is all the benefits. This is what all the benefits the members in the room said they're worth. Here's what it costs to belong. Let's do the math, and you get X return for every dollar you spend. And that was like launched me to doing more and more of that kind of work. And over time, I discovered that in the year 2000. I didn't even write that book until the year 2014. So let's talk, 14 years doing these valuations before I ever wrote the book on it, and started really having a lot of impact with associations. I remember one time I was speaking for the American Brush Manufacturers Association, and one of the board members came to me. They asked me to stay a couple days to do a keynote, to do that valuation. I call it the Rigsbee member ROI evaluation system. And one of the board members came up to me and said, "You know, Ed, your keynote was really good." I go, "Thank you." He goes, "But you know that session you just did on member ROI? That's where you really paid your rent." Going, "Oh, I guess my keynote wasn't that impressive, but, ah, yeah, what the hell? Go with what project?" So, it just really a lot of people were really looking at that, and today let's fast forward today, so we're recording this in the year 2025. I've learned that millennials, who are now a lot of the millennials are getting into the position of authority, decision-making authority, whether they're gonna join an organization or not. Their attitude, and there is no one attitude for a whole group of people, but generally their attitude is something around this. "Well, if I don't get 10x, why should I do it?" And I'm a baby boomer. And my attitude was, as a baby boomer, you join your industry association. Why? Because you should, because you need to support your industry. And that's just what you do. And if you join, you're going to get value. Well, today it's a little different. And with the Z Gens, it's even worse. And so, I mean, you talk about the snowflake generation, that's the Z Gen generation. And so we have to do with membership groups. We have to quickly, easily, and understandably say, "Here's what we do. Here's the value we create for you." Either in, "Here's the return on investment that our members have said they've gotten," or, "We understand you need this for your career, your practice, your company, and we deliver it." People only join organizations for 3 basic reasons, okay? So everybody joins for one of 3 basic reasons. Number 1, I joined because I need to grow my company, grow my practice, grow my career. Okay, fair enough. Number 2, I'm joining because I need you to help me solve my problems, whether it be legislative, advocacy, regulatory, training, continuing education, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Number 3, I joined because I want to be part of a community. All 3 are great reasons. One isn't necessarily better or worse than the other. But all the little sub reasons, and I dissected it deeper than that, but basically all the little sub reasons fit into one of those 3.
Yeah.
Grow my business, to solve my problems, for community. Those are all good reasons. And when organizations understand that and can leverage that understanding, then it's easier for them to tell their story on the value they deliver and how they can solve, well, bring value or solve the problems to people joining their community.
You know what
That
I've noticed in organizations that I'm in are absolutely, I totally support the fact that you have to bring in the younger people or your organization's gonna die. You have to bring
eventually,
in
yeah.
talent. Yeah, you have to. But I've also seen these organizations take the older generations, the baby boomers, and kind of push them aside. The millennials kind of push them aside. And I've seen this happen in several, and it's like the baby boomers still have wisdom and the history of the organization to offer, and they still want to be on committees and have roles to play other than I'm just gonna sit in the back of the room and be there because I'm not all washed up. And I see that happening with a lot of organizations these days. Do you
Couple
see
things.
that?
Yeah, a couple things. Well, we have to look at innovation and change and evolution. We also have to respect our legacy.
Yes.
And in every organization. Years ago at the National Speakers Association, I was chatting with the executive director at the time. His name was Stacy Teschner. I said, "Stacy, why," and this is probably 10, 15 years ago. He said, "Why are you going after the younger members at the cost of the older members?" And he told me, we were on the phone, he goes, "We're not." And I go, "Yes, you are." And I start just ticking off the names of senior people that had a lot of respect that have left the organization. And all of a sudden he's there kind of you can I can see the egg on his face on the other side of the call. The next time we got together and had lunch, he wanted to talk about that, and we spent a good hour discussing just that topic. Yes, organizations and, like, people want to grow their business. Well, if I go to an annual meeting and there's nobody that's a senior there, how am I gonna get the knowledge and the expertise and the depth of knowledge about growing my business because there's other people that are at my same level? So one of the important things that not enough organizations realize, you need the legacy members there, the senior members, the old farts, the graybeards, whatever you want to call it. You need those people there that have the depth of knowledge that when a younger member asks the question, hey, I'm thinking about trying X. Well, you can try X, but let me tell you, 7 people in this room have tried it, and here's why it didn't work. Now, go ahead and maybe you can figure out a way to make it work, but understand here's a history of why that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that could save that young member hundreds of thousands of dollars of not going down some stupid little rabbit hole because they had an idea without the knowledge of is the idea viable? And I could go, which we don't have time, I could go for hours on this topic on what the senior people bring. Now, yeah, sure, some of the senior people are sticking the muds. Some of the senior back in 1904, we did it this way. You gotta balance this,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
yes, there's a few stick in the muds, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge that can be transferred to the younger generation because intergenerational transfer of knowledge. Now let's think about that. Intergenerational transfer of knowledge.
Is
That is a huge thing in any membership organization, but not enough people understand it, value it, and work to make it successful.
unless you are one of those seniors.
Yeah,
Then you do see it. I see it in organizations that I'm in, and I've experienced it, and it's like, seriously? I've been in business for 40 years. I don't wanna be pushed to the old folks table, you know? It's like, I have knowledge to share. So that's very it hits
but
it hits close
let
to
me also let me also say that we baby boomers have to learn from the younger. I've got 2 sons
absolutely.
that are millennials, and they each built their own business.
Yep.
One son is a fire safety engineer, another son has a recruiting company. And, I'm constantly listening to their ideas, learning from them, and they'll throw something out, and it's like sometimes they'll throw something out. Yeah, I tried that, didn't work for me, but maybe I should look at trying it again. Or I, huh, I never thought of that. Let's talk. You know,
Absolutely. I have 2 millennial children as well, and they are I mean, my son is the one who got me into podcasting.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like, yeah. So, and my daughter just started her entrepreneurial journey now that her kids are in school. So she's starting that. So, and I listen to their ideas all the time. It's like, I'm not pushing them aside. I'm just saying I don't think they should be pushing the seniors aside either because we have values still. And it's not that we want to sit in the back of the room and shut up. We
Yep.
want to still be involved. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So, how do you keep members engaged long term so they don't disappear?
You know, that's the quandary that a lot of trade associations and professional societies are dealing with today. And the thing is, you've got to keep people engaged.
Yeah.
So, a couple things. You have to make relationship bank deposits every year with all your members because at the end of the year, when you're asking them for a relationship bank withdrawal, meaning to re up again, they there's gotta be relationship bank deposits in the bank, or they may go, "Yeah, why come here?"
I
So
love that.
so with the more senior people, what are relationship bank deposits? Well, or with just anybody that's there, what are we finding ways to allow them to volunteer based on the time they have and volunteer the way they want to volunteer? Some organizations go, if you're gonna get on the board, you gotta give us 3,000,000 hours of your life. Well, nobody's gonna do that. But there's a lot of organizations that are realizing we've got to be a little bit more innovative on how we create volunteer opportunities to where the person can volunteer based on their time, their ability, their skill, and they can feel good about the volunteering. Because let's face it, we feel good when we volunteer. Part of the rent that the organization pays for volunteerism is that it's a feel good feeling. It's something somebody gets something out of putting time into it.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of trade associations and professional societies fall down because they still want to have a volunteerism system based back in 1970, and it doesn't work that way anymore. It doesn't work. Things are different. The world has changed. Everything's different. And so, there's people that want to volunteer sitting at in their office or in their home, and they don't wanna go to a meeting. There's other people that wanna volunteer, physically at a meeting. But I think that the organizations that I've seen that do this, and I have a lot of discussions on this because I run every Tuesday morning, my time at 9 o'clock. I run an association CEO mastermind. They pay to be in it. And just this morning, we're talking about telling your story, your history. How do we keep it organized? And so people don't make the same mistakes, so we don't try to, reinvent the wheel. And in that discussion, we're talking about, how people participate and volunteer. And I think what it is, every trade association and professional society has to look at how can we be innovative? How can we allow our members to volunteer on their terms rather than our terms? And that way, we are making a relationship bank deposit. And are we doing enough thank yous to people that do volunteer?
That's
That
that I love that. I hope we get that quote in there of the relationship bank. I love that idea. I love that.
Yeah, in my book, Developing Strategic Alliances. My book, Developing Strategic Alliances, came out in either 99 or 2000. And I spent a lot of time in that book talking about relationship bank deposits. And the thing is, here's an interesting thing. If I make a relationship bank deposit with you, but it's not anything that you care about, is it a true relationship bank deposit?
Exactly.
So we've got to understand and we have to learn the people that we're trying to make relationship bank deposits with. Do we understand what they consider valuable? And if we're making relationship bank deposits with what we consider valuable and not them, I'm sorry, we're spitting in the wind.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's the old saying, the golden rule is do unto others that you haven't do unto you. Well, back in when I came into the speaking business, Patricia Fripp used to talk about this, and then later Tony Alessandra wrote a book about this, platinum rule. And the platinum rule is do unto others the way they want to be done unto.
Yes.
That and
Better. Yeah.
that's a hard thing for other people to understand because a lot of people, especially like on boards of directors or something, like I've had this discussion a million times with board members, more senior board members. Well, they should donate to the organization. And I said, "You're 70 years old. You want to leave footprints." "Yeah, I do." "Okay, when you joined 40 years ago, did you want to leave footprints?" "Well, no, I joined because I wanted to grow my business." "Okay. That's why the people today, the young people are joining. You forgot." And then all of a sudden there's this pregnant silence.
Yeah.
And it's like this realization, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I did join 40 years ago for a different reason than I've stayed a member today." Now, that doesn't mean that we don't want to value the reason that person's there today and allow them to make a difference and leave footprints and all that. But we've got to understand people join organizations at different phases of their life for very different reasons. I'll tell you, I've been working on this project for Cigar Pig the last couple months. And I've taken the last 20 years of email addresses. I gave it to one of my guys and had to put it all together, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and I've been emailing. And I got to tell you how many emails have come back of people that I've known for 25 plus years, 30 years that were big in the business and their emails came back. That means they're dead, they quit the business, or they could have got a new email address. I mean, there's that too. But and as I'm going through deleting the list, oh, he's dead. Oh, wow, he's dead. Oh, he's dead. I mean, it's just organizations, and we both are familiar with the National Speakers Association. They've done a very poor job of keeping their senior members. Their senior members are falling off like flies. And the younger people are coming trying to learn, and they're learning from people that have been in the business for 2 weeks or 2 years or 2 months, and they're perpetuating the same fallacies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you and I just get to look at that, and I would just say to any other trade association or professional society, "Hey, don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. Value your legacy."
Yes. Value your legacy. That is brilliant. And let me say, I wanted to ask you if there's someone listening today and they're thinking, well, I'd like to start my own membership cause driven community. What would you say the first steps they should take are?
I'm looking up there's a book I have up here. It's called The Membership Economy. That's a very good book, and Alan Weiss just brought out a book a few months back. What was it titled? S I forgot the title, but basically about how to build communities or something like that. 2 really good books on building communities. The Membership Economy by Robbie something or the other, and Alan Weiss's book about building communities. Ye that's a really solid start. And Ed, why haven't you written a book on that? I don't know, just haven't. But I think that you
Add that
gotta
to the list.
yeah, yeah. I think that you gotta look at what are you trying to achieve? And is it going to be a for-profit community or is it gonna be a nonprofit community? Both are fine, both great. If it's gonna be a nonprofit community, then you've got to apply to IRS and get a 501(c)(6) or C3. C6 is business league, C3 is charity, but you got to get a 501(c) determination from the IRS. Not that hard to do. If you're going to have a for-profit, now we've got to look at, okay, what's going to be the structure? Is it going to be a LLC, a sole proprietorship? Is it going to be S corp, a C corp? Are you going to have a partner? And if you're going to have a partner, what's that structure going to look like? And then you got to look at if you do have a partner, you have to have a document, and it goes into we don't have time in this podcast, but to
Call the
cover
CPA. Call your CPA and get all the legal documents done and your attorneys and get that.
not exactly. Now that is a good step, but a step that the attorney and CPA miss is understanding a lot of the partnership stuff on who's going to own this entity, who's gonna own the IP, who if there's a beef, how's it gonna be solved, if one partner wants to disappear. Some of that is a lawyer will do. But a lot of it, you need a strategic alliance consultant or a merger acquisition consultant
And I
to
believe
bring
you do that.
they do, but to do a lot of those questions. And those are things that have to be looked at. But, it's the first thing, the very first thing. What's the structure gonna be? Is it gonna be nonprofit or is it gonna be for profit? If it's gonna be for profit, sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, C corp, S corp. Am I gonna have a partner, no partner, all those kinds of things.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this. We're just about out of time. I wanted to make sure that our listeners have an opportunity to reach out to you, connect with you. What is the best way to connect with you if they want to reach you?
You know, my website is rigsbee.com. That's conveniently spelled as my last name is spelled, but not with a Y, with 2 E's. Everybody screws that up. So Rigsbee, Rigsbee, as in the screen there. Rigsbee.com is my website, or my email address is conveniently ed@rigsbee.com. Those are the 2 ways, or reach out on LinkedIn. That's another way. I'm a little bit particular on LinkedIn. I get 3,000,000 people from Pakistan and India wanting to link with me or UAE or whatever. So, if you wanna connect yeah, it's terrible. If you've watched this podcast and you wanna connect, please write me a note and say, hey, I saw you on Zelda Greenberg's podcast. And it's like, okay, I'll be happy to connect with you on that. I'd be more than happy. But make sure you say that. So
Yeah.
otherwise you might get
Name drop, y'all. Name drop. Name drop. Absolutely.
that's the way the world
That's
works.
the way the world works. Absolutely. So I have one final question for you, Ed. So my question is my signature question that I ask all my guests because this is called Success Through Connections and it is connections of how we met. So the question is, can you share with us a story of how an opportunity presented itself to you because of a connection that you had, or you were able to offer an opportunity to someone else because of a connection?
Sure. I'll try to make it tight. This is a long story that I'll try to make tight. So Zelda, a lot of people in the association world know me because I'm a certified association executive. It's the credential that everybody had to go through. It's 200 question, 4-hour test, not factoids, but opinion.
Ah,
Okay, so if you've been through the test and somebody has a CAE after their name, you understand that they went through the same thing. So I've connected with a lot of association executives. And I've spent a lot of time on LinkedIn connecting with them. Also, I put out education for association executives, certified association executive education through my subject matter expert friends. So I'm constantly making relationship bank deposits into the association world. Now, I continually try to make withdrawals. And so leveraging those relationships, try to make withdrawals to interview association decision makers that hire speakers. And I interview those people for the Association and Society Speakers Community, ASSC.org. And so in our community, we have all of these people that are decision makers on hiring speakers. The speakers can watch and leverage that to get bookings. But taking it one step further, there are a handful of speakers out there that have reached out to me and said, hey, I understand reciprocity. I understand referral fees. If you'll help me, I'll help you. And it's like, okay, so if you'll make the introductions and I get the booking, I'll give you a referral fee. And that referral fee, it's usually anywhere from 10 to 20%, whatever they choose. Okay, fair enough. So those relationships, those people that I've interviewed, now when I reach back out to them and say, "Hey, I'd like to recommend you look at speaker A," they actually do.
yeah.
And I've had a lot of speaker A contact me, go, I've got, and also they've sent referral fees to me, that gotten bookings. So I put it out to the association universe. I want to connect. Here I do things of value, particularly have these certified association executive continuing education. They take that, it's free. Then I work on trying to get them to interview. Okay, we interview. That's valuable for my ASSC group. Everybody that's a member there has access to that. But then just taking it one step further and making it that personal connection. And just a number of the speakers that are either in the ASSC group or personal friends of mine that have reached out to me, I've helped them to get bookings because of that deep relationship. And because without breaking my arm, patting myself on the back, my word does have some sway with association execs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go. That's my story.
There you
And it's older. I'm sticking to it.
I don't blame you. I'd stick to that one too. Well, Ed, thank you so much for spending some time with us today to share your thoughts on membership communities. It really resonates with a lot of my listeners, I'm sure. And I want to remind all of you, don't forget on YouTube to hit that subscribe button. And success doesn't happen in isolation. It happens because you have to reach out to others. And in today's world, connection is currency. Connections in today's world is the new power move. So keep connecting and reach out to me as well. I'd love to connect with you as well. Till next week, I'm Zelda Greenberg with Success Through Connections. Bye now.